So today, what are we going to talk about? Let's talk about the ability to help our clients and to help ourselves to get over those painful memories that are in our heads. I'm just going to move some stuff around. Get rid of those painful memories that we keep replaying over and over again, and how to use EFT tapping to change the narrative. Now, the narrative is, one of the fancy words we're all using at the moment to just talk about. Your narrative is that inner dialogue, the conversation you keep having, the words that you keep speaking, all of the words that keep coming out of your mouth that roll around in your head. You say to somebody, you say to nobody, but they're always there, and they're always, always, always going on in your head. So what will happen is, for most of us, when something happens to us in our past, something happens to us that has had an impact to us, it could be little, it could be big, it doesn't necessarily make a difference. So if it's something little, don't discount it and push it away and pretend that it's not important. It's important and you're important. So here's the disclaimer that if you think yours is a little T trauma and someone else is big, doesn't matter. Yours is still equally as important to you, should be processed, should be managed, should be moved through your body just like someone else's. It's important about you. So when we have all of these memories that get caught up in our brains and get caught up in our life and ultimately get caught up in our body, they can be really painful. And when we talk about them being painful, they are emotionally upsetting. Do they physically cause pain to the body? Sometimes, but more often than not, it troubles us, it upsets us, it bothers us, it rattles us. It just puts us that bit out of alignment. We don't feel right, or we don't feel happy, we don't feel the joy. We feel a whole lot of other emotions that aren't the ones that we want to feel, which is happiness, joy, uplifted, inspired, whatever those positive ones are. So what happens is we end up with all these triggers and these activations in our brain when things happen to us. So I want to share with you what we do with EFT tapping and how we use that to release those painful memories, to stop the activations from happening, and to stop those negative emotions and negative thoughts that absolutely being such a big part of your day and a big part of your life that they just infiltrate through everything. They just seem to, I know even when I get it, when things are getting really sort of bothersome with me, I'm in the process of renovating my family home. My kids have all moved out and it's time to move the big house on. There's a whole lot of emotions coming up about that. There's a whole lot of emotions coming up around the end of the marriage that ended while we had that home as a family home. I then kept it afterwards as the family home for myself and my sons. They have since moved out, so it's time to move it on. But there's a whole lot of emotions coming through that are very much related to that. Are they painful memories? Yes. And the reason I recognize my painful memories is they bring tears, they bring emotions. My emotions leak out of my eyes is what happens for me. It's my fun way of putting down that, I have been crying, my emotions just leak out of my eyes. So there are a whole lot of memories attached to that particular environment that I know it's healthy for me to process, to move through, to release, to let go of, whatever language you want to use. So what I will do with mine is, not only do I sit with the feelings, sit with those feelings of not feeling, whatever the feelings are. For me, I went to the house this morning, the painter's been in, we're doing some renos, it's looking fantastic. It's just, in the end, I'm going to go, look, I don't want to have to sell this, but I need to and I want to. But it came up as a whole lot of emotions this morning, and there was sadness attached to it. There was sadness and loss and grief of all the things that I guess fell apart in that house. One of our sons had a fight with my ex-husband, or my husband at the time, his stepdad, and he left. And so there was the sadness of one of my children moving out, never to come home. Then there was the sadness of the marriage itself kind of fell apart, it completely fell apart, living in that home. So there was all the good times to start with. And then there was all the negative times. And of course, then there was all the times that when it was my youngest son and I just on our own, and we cohabitated really lovely. And we went through the impacts of COVID in the house with my son, the eldest one, coming back from London with no career, no job. He's a chef. We all know what kind of happened to that industry. So all of these things that came and went in this family home, which were beautiful and upsetting and disturbing and just family as it is, But now that chapter of my life is over. I'm about to sell the big house to go and buy something for myself that's more suited to just me as a single gal. But it's really interesting how the emotions come through. So back to where these painful memories get resided. I feel them in my chest, I feel them in my throat, and I feel them come up as sadness that comes up. So what do I do with them? What do you do with them? So the story, when we have upsetting things happen, things will happen to us, and an event will happen, and something will happen. Just put it that way, something will happen. What will then happen in our human brains is we will add a story to it. We get this story and we add to it. It means this, and it means this, and then they did, and then he said or she said, and that happened. And we take all of the other little elements of all the thing that happened around it, and we make up a story. Human condition is just what we do. We come up with a story. So the narrative that is the story part of it. What is the story that we're telling ourselves? So for me, part of the walking through this house is there's an element of being a bit of a failure. I've got this great big house. I don't want to have to pay the mortgage on it anymore. I want rid of it. But there's still an element of sadness that I can't afford to keep it. It's quite simple as that. Not that I can't afford it. I'm not prepared to do what needs to be done to keep it. There's too much of an impact on my lifestyle and my life for me to keep that home. So it has to go. But then there's also that feeling of, yeah, but, you know, I won't have my kids around me anymore. This is where I raised them, or this is where we had this party, or this is where somebody was. There's all of those parts to it. So we created a story. I have a story around the house. I said my marriage fell apart there, blah, 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 blah. So let me show you how we're going to use tapping. Say we look at my sadness this morning. So I had sadness, walked around the house. This is no longer a family home that my family is living in. It'll end up being another fabulous family. Kids run around and playing in that pool. Exactly what's needed. But that's sadness. So what will I do with that? So what I do is I sit with it and I feel it and I recognize that it's a sadness. And so for me, I do really simple tapping when I've got that stuff, and I just tap here. And I just walked around and I just went, all of this sadness. And I walked from room to room to room, and I just, all of this sadness. And I just acknowledged that I was feeling sad. Now, my plan is, before the house actually sells, so it's going off to auction, before it actually sells, I'm going to go and be in the house, and I'm actually going to say goodbye to all the rooms. I'm going to go into each of the rooms and just talk to the beautiful memories that were created in those rooms, and say goodbye to the house and happily let it go. And in what I said the other day to someone, in under the Tuscan sun style, I'm just going to swan out the door with a vase in hand, and that's it, and off I go. So I know it's going to be good, but I need to acknowledge that there is sadness there for me. So walk around the house and do sadness. What is it that you've got going on? What story have you got happening, and the story that happens in your head? He said, she said, he said, she said, he said, she said. So what you would do with that is, if you have this dialogue, it's just is, I can hear the story and I can feel the story. No, actually, we're going to change it. We'll do this. I can hear this story in my head. I can feel it showing up in my body. I particularly like the story. How true does it feel? Ask yourself that. How true does this story feel? How true does the story feel? Like, am I a failure because I'm selling a great big family home? No. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to live there. It's too big for any of us to maintain. It was always too big. It was fabulous. But ask yourself, how true is this? How true is this sadness? How true is the story I have running under this sadness? Ask yourself that. How true is the story? How true is this story? Might be a 6. Okay. This story feels like a 6. It feels true to about a level 6. Feels about a 6. Do again. All this story. I have this story running. Story that I created around whatever it is. I have this story. I have a story. Created a story. And I repeat the story over and over. How true does it feel? Take a breath and sit with it. Just sit with it freshly. Feel into your body and sit with it. What is my body telling me? What is my body telling me? Feel your body. Is it telling you how true it is? Is it telling you that it's not true? Is it bringing up different emotions? So I've said for me this morning it was sadness, and the story I was telling myself was I was sad because this chapter was over and I would no longer I didn't feel like I was a mum anymore. That was one of my things. I didn't feel like I was a mum because I was no longer going to have a family home. I've had a family home for 30-something years. No longer going to have a family home. What did that mean about me? I created a story. How true does the story feel? I'm always going to be their mum, and they're always going to have a room at my house. Not that they need it because they're grown adults, but they always know that there's a room for them. Not that they'll ever want to come and stay with me necessarily, but there's always a room. Feel into your body. What does it feel like? And just tell yourself the story. Just talk to yourself about what the story is, what's the story going on, repeat the story while you tap, and then ask yourself, how true does this feel? Now, the reason I want you to do the tapping while you're doing the talking is you're already having the thoughts that are going through your head anyway. And there's what do the activations. They're what trigger the body, and they're what gets the reactions in the physical body. So if you talk to yourself about the story and tap while you're doing it, then you're processing part of the emotional blocks that come with the story. You're processing some of the activations that you have around the story. And so these exercises, when I get you to do these sorts of things where you feel into what is this painful memory I've got going on, what is the story I write, it's about speaking your truth. There is no point in my mind to come and do some tapping or to do some processing or to do anything that I'm about to do without speaking my truth. If I'm not true to me and I'm not being honest with myself, I'm band-aiding and I'm shoving it away, I'm just pretending, none of those things work well for any of us, none of them. So if you're able to do that process where you get honest with yourself, be true to what you're saying, true to what's going on, the ability at that space to clear it is so incredible for you. Because it doesn't matter with anybody else. No one else has to care about what your story is. But if you can clear the stories simply for the beautiful side of clearing the activations for yourself, that's where your true gift is. It's not about anyone else. It's not about people getting off the hook or anything, giving forgiveness, nothing like that. But to get those things out of your body so that the decisions you make come from a more calm and settled place. So I don't know about you, but one of the things I do when I get my really upsetting memories is food has always been one of my favorite things. It's always been one of my go-tos. And I know that I eat my feelings, and I'm happy to just own that every now and again, that's exactly what I do. This morning I went and bought some lovely fresh bread, knowing I had some beautiful butter at the house, and had Vegemite on toast. It was a comfort food for me, and I went and did it. I'd done some tapping on the sadness, and then I went and had my little comfort food. Is it going to kill me for one day? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I went and did it anyway, consciously went and did it. There was no mindlessness to it. I'm going to sit, I'm going to have some lovely warm Vegemite on toast on my favourite bread that I rarely eat, and that's what I'm going to go and do. So for you, if you get to do what I do and you clear away those activations and what goes on for you, things are so much calmer. So look, if you'd love to know more about this, and if you'd love to know, I know so many of you come through these free calls, these little mini masterclasses, and you then end up in our program, coming to our school. If you're someone who's even thinking about maybe whether EFT tapping as a business, as a career, as a modality, something to add to what you've already got, or you're thinking, you want to work with people on, even if you wanted to work them on the side as a bit of a side hustle. Lots of our practitioners do that, keep their day job and run their business on the side. It's a really great way to give back, to feel very centered and very whole within yourself and very able to just help heal the world. But if you really love to know more about being a practitioner, even if you've just got some questions, jump on the discovery call or the introduction call, whatever we've got it labeled, doesn't matter. Jump on a call with me, come and have a chat and just say, Lorna, is this the sort of thing I could do? Is it not something I could do? Is this the right training for me? Is it not the right training for me? Should I be looking at something completely different? Just have a conversation. You'll be glad that you did. It is obligation free. I do not sign anybody up who doesn't want to be in our school. I don't do trickery. I don't do any big sales pitch things. I just don't, because when you get there, there's work to be done. And I want people to come to our school who want to be there, not who people have been tricked into being there, because the energy in the school, EFT is an energy modality. We want the energy of the right people. I've been in a school where there's been the energy of the wrong people because, the person who ran the school was very money focused. I want the right people focused. So if you're interested in knowing more how to do this with your clients, if you'd like to be a practitioner and like to come and learn how you can help your clients to rewrite this narrative and to help clear away all of these negative memories that they have and how to actually release them, it's been beautiful to be here with you, because in that sense of calm, we get to make good decisions, we get to love our bodies, we get to be engaged in healthy relationships, and the world just feels an awful lot better. I said, drop me a message if you'd love to chat. There's a link to my calendar gets popped into the chat in this video. Have a great day.